these clients are spending at least $80,000 on their weddings. Yes. Where are you going?
Get another job.
If they're willing to spend $80K, they already know what time it is. So I get to weed out the bridezillas, because let me tell you, the brides that are spending less than that, significantly less, like my brides who want to spend $40K, but they want that $80K look, those are the bridezillas. I don't market to apostolic clients. I don't
limit yourself.
I don't even. So if there's like a business fair at the church, I'm not getting a booth or a vendor table, because I'm not marketing to apostolic people. So the company is about me.
What's wrong with us?
Nothing.
Cheap. Hey.
Well.
No, it's not that.
So have you done any apostolic weddings?
I have,
before?
and
Okay.
I have. I've done 3. I've had 3 brides who were apostolic.
Okay.
Beautiful weddings, but they also didn't have a budget, so we got along great.
Welcome back to another Apostolic Creatives and Entrepreneurs podcast. Today we have our special guest, Angelina Colhouer. She is here with us today. She runs a very successful wedding planning business based in Tampa, Florida. We see her, or you've seen her, on Instagram, Facebook, and in published magazines like Brides and Style Me Pretty. But my question is, who is Angelina Colhouer? Tell us about yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm just me, Angelina. I'm a wife, a mom. I own a company. I work full time. No one special. So thank you for the illustrious introduction, though.
No, welcome. Welcome to our podcast.
So Angie's definitely toning things down. She's really a big deal. She's worked with a lot of celebrities as well. And
not celebrities. Professional athletes.
Okay, professional athletes. Sorry. She's worked with a lot of professional athletes. Michael Jordan. No, I'm just joking. So, Angelina, firstly, tell us, how did you become apostolic?
Okay, so I was at Boston Market, and someone handed me a church card, and he was cute, so I just came to New Life.
Wait, Boston Market here in Tampa?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was just there, like, sitting, eating lunch, and someone handed me a church card, and I was like, oh, this church is so awesome. I've heard about it. I'll be there. And then I visited, and then that's just how it, became. I was baptized in Jesus' name, got the Holy Ghost, and now I'm apostolic.
How long ago was this?
It was over 10 years ago, maybe like 12 years.
Oh, wait, so he just dropped off the card?
No, he was talking to me.
Oh, okay. I'm like, that's a little
and
weird.
gave me the church card, and I was like, and the funny thing is that my friend was already attending New Life, and she had already invited me, and I never went, but as soon as he invited me, I was like, I want to go to this church. I'm coming.
So the Lord knew to get the fine man, use the fine man to bring you in.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, that's only wise God. The only wise God. Yeah. So when you think about being apostolic, what does being apostolic mean to you?
So I asked my husband this question today. I was like, what is apostolic? Like, how should I answer this? And he's like, living your life as closely to Jesus and the apostles. And I'm like, there's the textbook definition, but what does it really mean? And of course, we want to live our lives as close to the Bible as Jesus and the apostles, but it has to be to a notable difference. And I think that that's what really being apostolic is, because anybody can wear a long dress, turtleneck, no makeup, no lashes, but there has to be a difference that people see along with that. And so that's why I feel like being apostolic is, because, we're Christian, we're Pentecostal, but apostolic, there's something different, and people notice that. And I feel like that's what truly being apostolic is.
Do you feel that being apostolic is placed any major roles as far as the way that you do business as well?
Yes. Because I just can't pop off on people. Like
pop off. Yeah. Acts 2 and 38.
I can't. Like, I have to. Like, if I'm gonna
Jesus
wear
the tables.
The apostolic.
Didn't the Lord flip them tables?
See,
that's
that in
what. Content?
I wish, but we can't in real life, And right. So when you're dealing with people and you have a business, you have to remember that you're apostolic, but you can also be human.
So Angie, question for you. What do you believe causes some apostolics to hesitate with starting a business or getting into the creative, realm?
So definitely you don't want to feel like you're copying somebody. So if I wanted to start a t-shirt business, I would be like, I don't know.
Hey, hold on.
Right,
now.
exactly. And me and you are friends. So I might have an idea for like shirts, and I might not want to start a company because I'm your friend and I don't want to, invade your territory. Yeah. And I think that was what happened with me. I never grew up wanting to be a wedding planner. After my wedding, it was successful, and I'm like, oh, I like this. But there were other people in our church that wanted to do the same thing, event planning, or they were already doing it. So I took a back seat for a long time because I didn't want them to feel like, oh, well, Angelina's taking my ideas, or I didn't want them to feel like, oh, that's my competition or we're competition. So for a long time, I just didn't even start my business. And then my husband started to talk to me, and I was talking to myself, and I'm like, but my business is going to be different. Like, it's a different niche. I have different ideas. And I saw the work that they were doing with their event planning businesses, or sometimes those businesses didn't even get off the ground.
Right.
And I was like, why am I holding myself back? So that's sometimes a reason why people don't start businesses, because somebody in the church is doing something, or they've heard someone come up with an idea and they were like, man, I was just thinking the same thing. Yeah. So now I can't, because I don't want to step on anyone's toes. So I feel like, especially with our church or our organization, we're really close. We're close knit. And everybody, has brilliant ideas, and everybody's trying to make a bag. So, of course, you're going to be hesitant to jump on someone else's bandwagon.
Right. When you speak in regards to, other people wanting to do the same business, are any of those people doing business now? Like, just being honest.
The answer's no.
Exactly. So sometimes I feel that we can gatekeep and hold people back, and I think that's one of the major things that I'm a type of person, I take chances. A lot of times people will say, oh, you can't do that, you can't do that. I don't got no plane. I'm jumping out the window. We're building the plane on the way down. So the fact that you stepped out on faith and you begin, because you didn't know everything, correct?
Right.
The first wedding that you started with was your wedding.
Mine, yeah.
And let alone you had no bridesmaids.
No bridesmaids.
No. No brides. Why not?
I didn't want the drama. I didn't want to pick out their dresses. I didn't want to pick out hairstyles. I didn't want any of that. But I know you have to have your support system or people. So my two best friends are guys, and my brother, and they're all like my brothers. So they were beside me on my wedding day as my bridesmen.
Your groomsmen.
Wow, that's interesting. So Angie, I don't think we've asked just yet, but what's the name of your business?
The Apostolic Wife.
And how long have you been in business?
6 years? 7?
Now, I need to come in. When you say the Apostolic Wife, right? Are you only dealing with wives that are apostolic, or are you describing who you are?
I'm describing who I am.
Oh.
That's all.
Can we talk on that a little bit more? Let's go a little deeper.
Okay.
So that means that you're willing to service people who are not necessarily apostolic, correct?
Yes. So 98% of my clientele are not apostolic. And I don't market to apostolic clients. I don't
limit yourself.
I don't even. So if there's like a business fair at the church, I'm not getting a booth or a vendor table, because I'm not marketing to apostolic people. So the company is about me.
What's wrong with us?
Nothing.
Cheap. Hey.
Well.
No, it's not that.
So have you done any apostolic weddings?
I have.
Before?
And I have. I've done 3. I've had 3 brides who were apostolic.
Okay.
Beautiful weddings. But they also didn't have a budget. So we got along great.
So why the Apostolic Wife? That is the name of your company. Why the Apostolic, the name itself? I know you named it because of you are apostolic, but why the name itself?
So it didn't really start off as a wedding planning business. After I got married, I was getting, feeling domestic. So I started, doing cute little recipes or arts and crafts or DIY home things.
No, I know. I'm saying for her.
Okay.
I was doing all these cute little things, and so I was like, oh, this is, I should document this stuff. So I made up an Instagram account, and I called it the Apostolic Wife, and I was literally just doing cute DIY stuff.
Like a Pinterest.
Yeah.
You had your Pinterest.
And people were like, oh, you're so good at this. And I'm like, thank you. And then because of my wedding, people started asking me, well, can you do my wedding? Can you do my wedding? And I'm like, sure, we're friends. I'll do your wedding. And then guests of those weddings would then ask me, oh, my daughter's getting married. Would you like to be the wedding planner? And I was like, wait, pump brakes, because there's a difference between me planning my friend's wedding and, everything gets lit on fire on accident. And I just be like, sorry, you shouldn't have hired me. I'm not a professional. And then when people are looking to hire me, there was a difference. So I was like, well, I'm going to make this a business, obviously, and I'm going to do it the right way. But what do I name it? And since I had already had the Instagram account that was the Apostolic Wife, I had to ask myself, was that going to be the name of my wedding business? Some people can't even say apostolic. But I just kept it, and I was like, well,
apostolic.
Yeah, they can't even, Apple. Yeah, they can
iPhone.
never say it. It's apostolic.
There you go. Thank you.
Apostolic. Okay.
Yeah, but it just stuck. So I wasn't gonna try and think of another name. Just kept it, and I had already kind of had a following on Instagram. So
have people asked you like, what does that mean? Or
yes. So many times people ask me what it means. The people that ask me what it means, they've either been apostolic long time ago or their grandma was apostolic, and they're like, what does your company name mean? Or there's people that are Christians and they've heard of the apostles and they want to know, does Apostolic Wife kind of have to do with that? And let me tell you, by me keeping my company name, the Apostolic Wife, I've gotten business solely because people were attracted to the name. Wow. Or I had one client call me, well, wasn't a client, just random person. She was a bride, and she was like, I'm going to hire you. I just want to know, how did you get that name? So then I have to, go through the whole spiel. I'm Christian, Apostolic, Pentecostal.
So it's like a witnessing tool in a sense, to those who don't know.
Yeah.
And to those who are not saved.
But I didn't plan it that way. Oh. I'm not that holy, it just happened. And so now, I've gotten used to how to answer it, and it just became easier.
So let's dig a little bit deeper. Did you get any backlash from those that were close to you or that you felt was close to you in regards to using that name but being in secular spaces?
No.
Oh, because your clients are secular.
Correct.
It don't match with the name.
It doesn't match with the name.
No.
Nope.
None at all.
I don't know if it's just the Lord protecting me or
You're living in
shielding
a
me.
bubble.
But I haven't had any. It's only been great stuff that has come from me having this name.
Okay. So let's go back 6 years.
Wait, first of all, I would like to say, if a satanic devil worshiper wanted to get married, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't Google Apostolic Wife for a wedding planner. Like, that's just the industry that I'm in.
Correct.
If they see, and even my Instagram on my website, it talks about God. So if somebody doesn't like
you have
God,
Acts 2:38 in your bio. It's not like you're hiding it.
Exactly. So if they don't like that, they're not even gonna hire me. They're not even gonna look at me.
They're not even gonna call you up.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, delete.
Right.
Exactly. Not gonna hire
On to the next one.
Yeah.
So let's go back 6 years ago. You get into the industry. You're starting it. You got your startup. You're taking on projects. What's the smallest budget that you had then?
Back then, I was so ready to just take on brides. I don't even know. I don't even know what people's budgets were.
What are we looking at in 2023?
Right now.
The smallest.
If we want to get married, because
God, I don't like this question. And you keep trying to get me to answer this question.
Let's do a range.
On my website, when people are filling out the contact form, because it's a hard discussion to have. So my website will let people know, if you're looking at my website, if you're looking at my Instagram page, these clients are spending at least $80,000 on their weddings. Yes. Where are you going?
Get another job.
I keep it real, because this is what I found. When I put that, someone who's having a $30,000 wedding and wants to invite 200 people, they're not gonna fill out my contact form.
Frank, come back. You've been gone too long. You go.
We lost one of our hosts.
Right, come back. Well, 80,000 is a little. Well, not little, but That's a great starting price. Yes. And I think that weeds out those because bridezillas. So how do you deal with that type of budget? Do you deal with bridezillas at an $80,000 starting off?
See, that's the thing. I don't get bride. If they're willing to spend $80K, they already know what time it is. So I get to weed out the bridezillas, because let me tell you, the brides that are spending less than that, significantly less, like my brides who want to spend $40K, mm-hmm. But they want that $80K look, those are the bridezillas.
Ooh.
All the time, hands down.
But that weeds out your clientele because you're not for everybody.
Correct.
Even in the name and even in the price. So how would you describe like the best wedding that you've ever done outside of your own?
Okay.
Outside of your own, what's the best wedding you've done? Is it more elegant? The type of style of weddings?
So everybody comes to me for classic wedding looks. So, a lot of neutral colors, very fine details. Brides are wanting to entertain their guests, so we spend a lot on catering. We'll spend a lot on entertainment, DJ, band. We're spending a lot on the venue. Mm-hmm. So things like that.
Yep. And how do you keep your core values? So you're dealing with a high clientele.
I'm back. I just got
secular. Thank you for coming back.
At City.
City who?
Citibank. City Trends. Probably get your wedding dress from there.
Right. I'm going to have to.
See through.
Can y'all mic me back up? Can y'all get me,
Just bring it back to you.
Child.
Bring the mic back to you.
$80K. That sounds like a car, a house, and some. Is that right?
So are we back? Continue the conversation.
My hair is good. I'm good.
But you know what is funny is that the budget is a hard conversation to have. And even when my clients some of my clients, when they come in with $80K, and I know the venue that we're going to be at, even that is kind of stretching it. And I have to say, well, $80K is a great budget, but we're not going to have the aisle full of flowers, or we're not going to have a plated meal. So based on, like, as soon as they come to me, and that's part of my, on my contact form, is what venue are you going to be at? How many guests? What's the budget? All of those things, just by them filling it out, I can already tell, okay, $80K is a good budget. Mm-hmm. Or $70K, we're not really going to make it, but it's going to be something we can handle.
Right.
And then some of my brides are, $100K, or I had one bride, it was like no budget, unlimited, whatever we need.
Whatever I want.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You hiring?
So what?
Are you hiring?
Yes, all the time.
Thank you. I want the no budget one.
But those brides, I don't have any problems with. Uh-huh. No complaints. Everything goes smoothly. So.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I'm still filling out job interviews. So how do you keep up with, because it seems like when you're in the event space or wedding planning space, things are always changing. What was trendy this month may not be trendy that month. Mm-hmm. When I look at your content, it has a look. I can already tell that Angelina or
it's that signature.
Angie,
she has the
signature. It's there. When I see those little green leaves, I'm like, the Apostolic Wife is Angie. Like, I think that you had that look before we saw that look. Mm-hmm. Is this something that was already happening in the world and we weren't introduced to it, or was it just something that you kind of came up with on your own and it became a trend, or was it just trending all by itself?
So there are definitely some trends that are newer now. So like the baby's breath trend. So remember the baby's breath trend? Okay, you're definitely going to have to insert some photos.
Never been there before.
When you think of baby's breath, you probably think of like your grandma and like the little baby's breath at Publix. But there's a whole trend now where it's nothing but baby's breath. I've done like 2 weddings now. And
wait, is it like floral? What
is floral, baby's breath flowers.
I thought you had like some type of special machine that was
with a baby voice in it.
No, sorry guys, I should preface it. Baby's breath flowers.
There's
a new floral trend
gotcha.
where all the flowers are baby's breath.
What color? It's
white.
And she's the queen of flowers. Like, I judge people bad for their weddings.
Because of the Apostolic Wife.
Because of Angie. We had a conversation in regards to, I think someone had spent like $20K in flowers alone. And I was like, what's the budget? She's like, $20K. And I was like, oh, that's great. She's like, for the flowers. And I was like, they dead? And then when she pointed it out to me that there's a difference between the flowers and then those that are like silk, that look imitation. Now that you know it and you see it on the eye, I seen somebody with some wedding. I'm like, that look cheap.
Look at you judging everybody wedding you go to.
Correct. So even if it's only 10 people at my wedding, I think I'll rather go with fresh flowers because the look, that's forever.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't a big deal for me about that until she actually said it. And now I'm looking on the eye, you can see the difference. So if you can see the difference, I know you probably can smell the difference. I'm going to, oh, this smells like plastic.
That's how the stories, that's how the conversation started. I did a wedding, and some of the people from church were invited, and they called me over to the table, and they're like, what's that smell? And I'm like, the food? They're like, no, it smells like very florally. And I was like, the flowers? And they're like, oh, these are real? And I was like, yeah, they're
no,
real.
they're fake, and we just sprayed some.
Yeah, we just sprayed a little Bath and Body Works on it.
So many flowers in the whole entire place that they couldn't imagine that somebody, A, spent that type of money on the flowers, and then B, that these beautiful flowers, and they were like tall arrangements, right? And then flowers all over the table. They just couldn't, I guess, comprehend that these were real and people put money into it, and that's where the smell was coming from. So yeah, that's probably my biggest what people know me for in the wedding planning industry is my love for floral design.
Do you have a green thumb?
No.
So you just picking up the flowers, making them pretty, but you killing them if you tried to grow them.
Well, no, I mean, you hire the florist to do that.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then sometimes there's
so
flowers.
do you put the arrangements actual together of the flowers?
No. The florist does that.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a florist.
Okay.
She put things together, as in.
Yeah. So you.
No, I design. So when I'm talking to my bride and we're talking about what the tables are gonna look like, I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna do an asymmetrical centerpiece for this table. We'll do a floral garland for this one. We'll do tall centerpieces, and then I pick out the floral recipe. But the florist does all that.
You with it?
The recipe.
The floral recipe. Yes.
Okay.
So, but the florist does all that.
We learning. We next.
The florist puts it on the table. The florist does the candles. I'm the planner. I'm not doing any of that stuff.
That's good to know because it kind of puts it in perspective of what you get when you're getting a planner. So you're basically just connecting the dots to everybody.
Correct.
Pulling it all together.
Correct.
Not about what you know, who you know sometimes.
Correct.
So when you stepped into the industry, all the jargon that goes along with that, this is something you learned as you go? Did you research this, or how did you?
Both. You learn as you go, and then because you like it, it was a hobby, right? So I already knew some of those terms going into it because I was already looking at some of those things.
Gotcha.
Do you have a favorite? Will it be called a designer or a wedding planner person?
That's a very good question because there's a difference.
I know it's a difference.
Yes.
Really?
Teach us.
Yes.
Teach us your ways.
So a wedding planner kind of
your
like
inspiration.
Okay, so a wedding planner just puts the plans together, but there are planners like myself, but that are planners and designers and stylists, and they can pick everything out to the fabric that will go on, the tablecloth, the linen, how this will look, how this looks together. So a designer and a stylist is doing all of that. Textiles, they're picking out, what the bar will look like, all of that stuff. My favorite planner designers are Marcy Bloom, Gertie's out of Miami. Local, there's Tracy Domino event. She's amazing in this area. And then also Anna. Oh, she's my favorite, but I just know her by Anna. She's amazing.
First of all, when you just known by your name, your first name, you bad.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Remember
people
Prince?
know who you.
Remember Prince? He just turned himself into a symbol.
Yeah.
You literally bad when people just know, faint. You see that? You see what I did?
Brandy.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, just the first name. Oprah.
Yeah.
Long money.
Jesus.
Oh, shut up.
Well.
Exactly. You don't even need to know the last name.
Exactly.
Just Jesus. That's it. How do you persuade a client to book with you?
I don't persuade them. I will preface my phone calls with clients, like when they're wanting to hire me, I will say, look, this is probably going to be a very awkward conversation. I'm not good. I'm not great at talking about myself. I'm not a salesperson. So you're either going to like me or you're not. So we'll keep it short and sweet because I cannot just tell about or persuade people to hire me.
Right. You let your work speak for itself.
My work speaks for itself. they found me somehow. Usually it's by Instagram. So you've seen what I can do. At this point, you're either going to read my reviews or you're going to speak to your venue about how well it went when they work with me. And that's where you're going to
So it's the research.
Yeah. Because if I'm persuading somebody I feel like that messes up the relationship. When I have to persuade somebody to book me, at every single point of the planning process, I'm still going to be persuading them that they made the right choice.
Wow.
They need to be 100% sure when they sign that contract and pay me my retainer that this is the planner for me, because we're going to be spending at least a year together. And you have to be able to.
You definitely ain't marrying apostolics if they get in a year.
Exactly.
So that's why.
Gotcha.
Light bulb. Okay.
So I don't follow up like after we do a call and they're making their decision if
You
they're
gotta
going to
know
hire
that
me.
You know, just like the wedding. This is just
I
like the
don't
wedding.
follow up with them or like email back, hey girl, did you make a decision? I don't do any of that.
Pause. But I thought typically in apostolic world it's 6 months. So what's the problem? Is it you like to do at least a year or 6 months too fast?
Well, she's not marrying apostolics, remember? She's not wedding planning for apostolics.
If let's say this, if it's an apostolic couple, I'm typically planning those weddings 4 to 6 months in advance.
Right. And is that enough time for you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
During
as long
COVID,
as the budget isn't the issue, that's
Right.
like the biggest thing. If
During
the money's
co-
there, she looks
during
like,
COVID, I had it was COVID when everything was shutting down, and I had a client that was like, I'm still gonna get married, let's do it. And we had 1 month, exactly 1 month from the day that she hired me to the day of the wedding that we had to plan. And I like it that way. I would prefer to see my work in a shorter amount of time than to book a client and the wedding is, I have 2025 clients right now. 2025. The year.
She's not taking on 2025 people.
Oh, I'm so
speaking
sorry.
of the year.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's booked
I have
out to
brides that are
year.
getting married in 2025, and I don't want to wait that long to see their wedding. Like, I have to.
But that's a true visionary. Like, I think that people that are true visionaries, you see it in your mind, you pull together the people who you want to help you with getting it accomplished, and you get your greatest gratification when you see what you saw in your mind
Right.
in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
Like, man, this is really happening.
Yeah.
It's a thriving point, like, to keep you. Are you that same way?
I'm a true millennial. I need to see it right now.
Right now.
So when I get to do weddings in 4 to 6 months, those are my favorite because you literally get to see the plans
Because you
executed.
in and you out, and you got your bag.
Right, it's
Exactly.
But with fast planning, you have a full-time job.
Yeah.
Full-time entrepreneur.
Yes.
A wife
Yes.
with children.
Two
Two.
kids.
2 kids. And a
How
husband.
old is the kid? Rich?
3 and 1.5.
3 and 1.5. How do you balance it all? That sounds a little chaotic to me, but
Well, so this is the thing. Yeah, to a certain extent it could be, but and I don't know if this comes later in the interview, but because of my pricing model, I can take on less weddings and
Bigger profit.
bigger profit
Bigger
and
budget, yeah.
still have time to raise my family and vacation. I remember when I was first starting, I was looking at Anna Lucia, that's her name, that's the wedding planner. I was looking at Tracy Domino's events and Gertie and Anna Lucia, and I was like, they have the best clients. Like, and I'm like, you know what? They could probably do 10 weddings a year and make 6 figures. And that's what I want to do. And I'm at the point where like, I only want to take 8 clients for the entire year. And I will make more than I make at my 9-to-5 job. And I will make 6 figures. And I don't have to, every weekend be away from my kids. Every weekend traveling, because I travel for weddings too. So that's how I do it. My pricing model is different, and that allows for me to take on less clients, still get the bag, and still be able to, go to the zoo with my
Putting
kids.
the bag
I love
in the
it.
bag.
Put the
So
bag
it seems
in the
like to
bag.
me that you're
take the
being more
bag.
selective. You have a selective process as well.
Yes.
Because you may not be a good fit for them.
Exactly.
And when you said something you say you're not a saleswoman, you're not salesy, but in sales, if you have to address the elephant in the room in the beginning, or you're going to be trying to persuade someone, like you said, to buy into you when we already know who you are. We've seen your work, we've seen the reviews, we've seen those things, and the ball is going to drop because if you don't address it right then I'm having to convince you all the way.
That's
and now I'm
stressful.
going to have to charge you a new fee because now I'm your counselor.
yeah.
Oh, well.
And it's consultation after consultation and reassuring. I don't have time for that.
Yeah. So, and it's not being nasty or rude. It's being honest to say, look, I don't think that I may be the best choice for you. And have you deferred business elsewhere?
Oh yeah, all the time. If the budget's not there or if the scope of the wedding is not where I want it to be, I defer. Sometimes I just won't take on a client because of my apostolic beliefs. In those cases, I don't technically refer to another planner. I would just be like, hey, sorry, I'm not available that date, or, don't think this would be a good fit. Happy wedding planning. Send them on their way.
And send it.
Wow. That's powerful, though.
Yeah.
Because you're not dragging them along.
Right.
You're not keeping things on your books. It's kind of like it's on to the next one.
Yeah.
Let's move forward and let's, get the client that's going to be a great fit for them.
And it's also great because you're not willing to compromise either. So let's talk about your beliefs, right? And your just determination in your mind. I am not willing to bend, break, compromise who I am and my core values. So let's talk about that in business.
Listen, I dedicated this business to God when I first started it, right? I dedicated it to God. So if I do anything that's outside the will of God, or I'm entertaining any of that, or I'm facilitating those type of events, the Lord's going to take it away from me.
Have you ever been in a situation where you're like, this is kind of edgy? Or
oh no, because like I said, they're not gonna hire me. They're the Apostolic Wife. They're looking on my bio. I'm talking about Jesus. They're not gonna hire me. We're gonna sacrifice baby puppies to during the wedding. They're not gonna hire me. You can tell. Like, you're not gonna hire me. So most, for weddings, there is drinking at weddings, but I'm not drinking. So, or I'm not in my Instagram videos with bottles. Oh, we having a great time.
Popping
even
bottles.
though I'm not drinking, like
y'all just won the chip, the NBA.
Yeah. So I'm very fortunate that in this industry, there's not a lot of that. There's one or two things like, are non-negotiables. But the Lord has protected me to where I don't really have to deal with that, or those clients don't seek me out. And then the one or two that I've been able to redirect them quickly.
But you're not scared of having that conversation?
No. Well, yes, I am. I'm scared. I'm so scared. And that's why I pray every day. That's why I pray every day, Lord, protect me from this. I don't want this. I know it's the elephant in the room, but I guess, it's ACE. So eventually everybody's going to have to talk about this. You do have to pray about that stuff.
Yeah.
And you have to pray that the Lord protects your business from that, because we live in a cancel culture right now.
They will cancel you.
Yes. And the Bible says, in all thy ways, acknowledge him. So in every way you acknowledge
they will
God.
cancel you. And I remember during COVID, it was, like, Black Lives Matter, and everybody wanted to be an ally, and I had brands reaching out to me, right? Brands that I've been following for a long time, brands reaching out to me, and all of a sudden this Black Lives Matter, and they want to partner with me,
or they
want to blog, and I was like, no, thank you. You wasn't hitting me up.
And then they see the family,
biracial
family.
Yeah,
this is great.
Excellent, jackpot.
Can we feature you? Can you come sit on this panel? Nope. But you know what? After all this settles down, reach out to me then.
I'm still going to be black.
Right.
Am I going to be the flavor of the month in 2024? Ooh. That's,
That the elephant in the room is a lot of times we sit back, we make it seem like everything is just perfect. As being first of all, already living in the world, it's already a war between the spirit and the flesh. We have to consciously make decisions to live for God every day. As a business owner and an entrepreneur, I think it's at a different level, because we're not only just making our own decisions, but we're now taking on other people's obligations. So a lot of times we're in situations where it may be the right price, but the long-term value is not there. So you have to consciously make a decision to say, if I take on this project, or if I take on this client, depending on what realm of business that you're in, how is this going to affect me in the future? And I feel like a lot of us are not necessarily real about that. We have to pray every day, like, Lord, help me. Because if someone came to you and say, listen, I have a beautiful wedding. It's on Derek Jeter's estate. It's going to be a $500,000 budget, but it's going to be for something that goes against what you stand for. I'm just insert whatever there.
I'm not going to take it, because you're ultimately not even going to be happy. You're not going to be excited about it. It's not going to be something you're passionate about. And it's just gonna be like when Judas took the money. You got the money, but at what price? At what internal price? And it I would love, how much? $500,000?
$500,000. You know, that 4,000 seat sanctuary.
The Lord will find another $500,000 if I consciously make that decision and say no. The Lord will find another $500,000 for me, because I made the choice to say no. I firmly believe that. It may not be tomorrow.
But is it always easy to say no?
It's not easy.
And that's what I'm hitting at that point. It's not always easy.
It's not easy.
But it's easier to say no because you're in a place of prayer.
Right. It's easier to say no. And like I said, I trust in God's economy. So that $500 million or $500,000 is going to come from somewhere else.
Correct. That makes sense.
In the fish's mouth, what does Bishop always say? In the fish's mouth.
Go to the fish.
Yeah.
On Derek Jeter's estate.
Yeah, but at least I know, like, my conscience will be cleared. And if I die, at least the Lord's not saying, you hosted a debacle at Derek Jeter's mansion.
You hosted the Great Jubilee.
Yeah. It's not worth it.
And do you think that's the reason why some apostolics business, when they compromise and when they make it big, maybe they may have a downfall later?
Well, so I like when you ask me that question, because this is what I remember Pastor Collins saying something years ago, before I was even a business owner, entrepreneur. He said that apostolics, we're not built for that level of success. We're not designed for that. So you think about Victor Jackson, okay? NBA perspective, okay? He had to make a choice. And his choice couldn't be, I'm going to play in the NBA and I'm going to be apostolic. No, bruh. The NBA finals is on Sundays. You're not going to be doing that. He had to make a decision, like, this is as far as I'm going to get. Same thing with James Wilson. I love the man. I love him. But, and I love you, bro. I don't know what camera. I love you. But will he sell out, arenas in New York? Well, he won't, because at some point, when they offer him, hey, we want you, what's that big stadium in New York? I forget. We want
Madison
you to
Square.
Yeah, we want you to perform in Madison Square Garden.
But we're gonna have it by Live Nation. That's what's
right.
gonna go.
You know what? And we're gonna give you $500,000, but you can't say Jesus in your song. Sorry, bro. It's it's what it is.
Yeah.
James Wilson he's not going to be able to reach that level of success because the Lord didn't design him to do that. His ministry wasn't called. So that's why I feel like, with, let's example, my business. Like right now, I'm planning weddings for professional athletes. But at some point, there's a ceiling, there's a cap. Because if I start to plan weddings for TV stars and all that stuff, at some point somebody's going to ask me to compromise on something, and at that point I'm too far in.
Yeah.
There's
and
the
that's
ceiling.
what happens. You get a lot of apostolics that in music business and a variety of things, you're like, they started out apostolic.
Yeah.
Right. And then you look at them and it looks like what it just seems like, boom.
Yeah.
You don't even know who they are anymore. Wow. Right. But if you go back and you look at the progression of it, you can see the little by little. Oh, they're dancing a little bit like Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Before you know, the floor is lit up and they on the way.
Let me tell you. So Molly Music, right? Molly Music. We all loved him. Remember, he was hot. Like, he was it. And then he wanted to shatter the ceiling. And that's when he started to have to compromise. And now we're not talking about that man at all. Wow. We're really not talking about him. And he would have had more, or he would have had continued success if he just would have stayed where God called him. Yeah. He would have.
And he came back to it. He tried to come back,
but it's too late, bro. We remember. No coming back. That's what I don't want for James Wilson. I want that man to stay where he is. Right? Of course, you want to go crash through that ceiling. But the Lord put that there because we're not built for that. Yeah. This apostolic calling is for everyone, but we have to stay where God puts us. And so that's why with my business, I have to remember there's a ceiling, and as far as I want to go, it can call me. Like, I can't do Sunday weddings, like I can't be out there every Sunday. I'm going to miss church. Or I can't do weddings all, and I want to go to Italy and do a wedding. Yeah, but once I do that one wedding in Italy and I'm successful, everybody's going to be wanting me to go. I can't move to Italy. I have a family here, Yeah. I'm called to ministry here. So, we can't compromise. I do find a lot of times with, apostolics or whatever, sometimes once they compromise, That's the beginning of the end.
What does it say in the Bible? The little leaven the whole lump. So
before you know it, you desensitize yourself, and it no longer becomes an issue anymore. God's dealt with me about that. You know, even some of the personalities we see on Instagram, videos are super funny, but you like, dude, you a man with a wig on. And that's just the reality. No, I'm just saying. And before you know it, it's everybody wants to take church culture and benefit off church culture, but they don't want to live church culture. So my desire is not to be there, even with chosen vessels. You know, as I look over, I put more money in it a lot of times, more than what I get out of it, because it's more so a ministry first. Chosen Vessels was birthed out of the fact that they told me, hey, look, the conversions got to stop. Y'all got to stop baptizing people. They coming back from work. They can't speak in English because they speaking in tongues. What is this? You know what I mean? Literally, the director called me in the office. Angie, you know. I'm like, Angie, I got another one. We go fishing. You know, and so with that being said, you look at other people that are in the same realm of Christianity or doing something similar. You see them doing all these things that look so great, but you don't get the testimonies that we get, that we had this many baptized. Or right when I thought I wanted to give up, someone sends an email where, I know y'all don't have the black and gold Be Apostolic shirts anymore, but can you make 5 of them for us? Because on my grandfather's deathbed, he said, be apostolic and stay apostolic. Wow. You know, and that kind of stuff comes in the middle of you saying, Lord, I don't know if I can do this no more.
Right.
And then that comes and you're like, I can't give up on this because it's ministry first. And, you know, and you're a light, and people do see a difference, you know, and they may not be apostolic right now, but when it comes back around, when someone else gives them a church card or invitation, even if they're in a different city or a state, there's like, well, the lady that did my wedding, she was the apostolic wife. And you kind of look back and you see that it was God in it all along, you know? So I think that that's powerful. Question I have is, if you, knowing what you know now, is there anything that you would have done differently than when you first started out?
No. And the reason why I say that is because what would I have learned?
Wow, that's good. The journey.
You have to make mistakes. You have to, you know, there are things that unfortunately happen. But if I would have changed any of that at the beginning, I wouldn't have learned anything. Yeah, that's true. And that's the reason why I've seen the growth in my business and the growth in myself, is because I take everything that has happened to me, successes, failures, you know, missteps, and that has caused me to learn and grow. So I wouldn't take back anything. What's your most expensive
mistake?
Maybe hiring. So this is the thing, and we go back to budget, right? So my client had a certain budget that we had to stay in, and I had to compromise and use like a florist that, you know, I knew she would do it for me for that. Well, guess what? We paid that florist the least amount of money that we could. And it was a Saturday wedding, but it was a morning wedding. The florist thought it was 5 p.m. wedding. So here we are, hour before the wedding starts, and I'm like, where are the flowers? And I know the florist, right? We've become friends.
You became a flower
So I'm thinking
girl.
like, oh, okay, well, you know, she knows that the wedding's coming. Like, I don't need to call her. And then I see it's coming up to be like, you know, 10 a.m. and there's no flowers. And I called her and I'm like, where are you? Where are the flowers? She's like, we're coming. We're setting up at 3, right? The wedding's at 5. I was like, no, the wedding's in an hour. And I was like, get in the car, make those bouquets on the way here. Like, get here now. So she made it. We started the wedding 15 minutes late. But, you know, when you say what's the most expensive mistake that you made, hiring the wrong vendors. Yeah.
We're not even going about the whole cheap thing. You're going to leave that right. We're going to bury that.
It's the word of the day.
Ooh, what's the most expensive thing? Trying to be cheap.
Yeah, so exactly.
There you go. There you have it, folks. All right, so thank you, Angie, for, you know, being on the podcast, being a host. We love having you here, but we have to go to a close. We have to wrap it on up. All right. And one of the questions that I want to ask you before we end it is, if you could give one piece of advice to an aspiring entrepreneur, what would it be?
Make sure you guys are tithing.
Ooh.
Yeah. I didn't see that one coming.
Make sure you're giving. Then this is the reason why. You know, you say you oh Lord, I give you my business. I dedicate. Oh, are you really?
Oh,
are you really? When I started this business, I didn't expect to make this amount of money. But when I started to make money, I was like, oh, I like getting this money. So at one point, I started to tithe on how much I wanted to make in the future.
Oh, wow.
So even though I was getting a certain amount of money, here, God, because I trust in God's economy. Like I've never been let down.
We got to bring you back for that. That's a whole podcast.
And that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not like
let me call my lawyer. We're gonna trademark that now.
I'm not that super spiritual person. People want me to be. I'm not. But when it comes to money, I'm telling you, when you're an apostolic business owner, you have to tithe. You have to give. You have to be cheerful. If you're going to say you want to have a successful business, and me and you spoke about this, like the first year you're in, you're being an entrepreneur, that money's shouldn't be going in your pocket. You have to reinvest in your business. There's equipment you have to buy. There's materials. But make sure that you're giving and tithing, because God will honor that and the business will keep coming to you. And that's how I was able to make myself, I'm doing 15, 20 weddings a year to now I only have to do 8, and I'm
making more than
with the 15.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's the only. Everybody could be like, oh, just go for it. Just do it, no. If you want a piece of advice, make sure you're giving, make sure you're tithing, because that's how you made it.
It's a biblical principle at the end of the day.
Yeah,
that's powerful.
Yeah, that's
Thank
good.
you. I'm just trying to keep it real.
Keep it real. That's what we want it to be authentic. We want it to be real. Doesn't have to be scripted. Doesn't have to be polished. But when you apply these principles, you're setting yourself up for success. So, Angie.
Yes, Faint.
Years from now, when someone hears your name, what do you want them to associate that with? What do you want your legacy to be?
I don't know. I just want people to like I said, I just want people to know that I kept it real. And what I would like people to say is that I helped others along the way. And I'm really big about bringing up my people with me. So I would like for people to say, she helped me along and she inspired me, or she put my business on. There's a venue that I work at in Fort Myers, and I will bring my Tampa vendors to Fort Myers to get those $100,000 brides, because I want my people to come up. So I would say that about myself.
Thank you so much for joining us today. You're one of many of the first ones that can say that you blessed the podcast and came. Thank you for keeping it real. Thank you for being honest. Thanks for helping us navigate the process as we're building what God wants us to build. And thank you for sharing your story. I'm confident that it's going to inspire others to know that they can keep a standard and still be able to make it and make an impact in the community and also on the world. All right, that's it.
Thank you for joining us, and we would love to have you back. And please support the podcast.
Yes.
Are we going to do that?
Patreon coming soon.
Patreon
will be live. Actually, we'll be live, guys. So.
Yes.
All
See
right.
you back on another episode of Apostolics, Creatives, and Entrepreneurs.
I'm walking in blessings, right now. Dancing in favor, he pours it out. My God answers prayers, yes he does. I promise that he won't let you down. I promise that he won't let you down. I'm walking in blessings, right now. Dancing in favor, he pours it out. My God answers prayers, yes he does. I promise that he won't let you down.